This is the DP Show,
where insanity sounds sane.
And now, the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, D. Palmer.
So times are tough. Nobody has money. People don't have money. We've talked about how cities don't have money. The city of Glendale running $35 million in the red. It's 3 cities in California are running so broke that they're filing for bankruptcy. There's all sorts of problems around, and one of the problems, I should say, here in Arizona has been with the strange deterioration of Mesa, a very conservative suburb of Phoenix. It's actually become a very large city, and as it has continued to grow to the east, the western part of the city has just gone dilapidated to the point where the once thriving industrial complex that was Fiesta Mall is now just a fenced-in ghost town. If you haven't driven through there recently, it's been maybe as few as 3 or 4 or 5 years. You got to go take a look because it'll blow your mind what has happened throughout the western part of the city of Mesa. It feels like a really big city. It feels like a big inner city. And because of that, the mayor of Mesa, Scott Smith, launched an interesting program in 2011 where he is going to try to revitalize and rejuvenate many parts of the city, and he's going to try to do it in a way that is a little bit different than the way many people would go about this sort of project. What he came up with was something called iMesa, much like iTalk 106.7. iMesa is asking for people to come up with ideas about how they want to see their city and their community improved. They submit these ideas online, and eventually they're going to be discussed, and it is going to be decided that if these ideas will be implemented in a $70 million general obligation bond package for such things as park proposals, some of which, hopefully, according to Mayor Smith, will have resulted from this iMesa program. It's a fascinating concept because it's assuming a few things. First of all, that the reason why Mesa is deteriorating is because there aren't enough neat parks or enough neat places for people to go outside and gather. They're forgetting a couple of strange things about this. First of all, Mesa, or Phoenix, Arizona, is exceedingly hot. Yeah, I know it. Newsflash. Just saw on the news yesterday. Excessive heat warnings, 110 to 115 degree heat in August. I thought we were done when we were up to 113 in May. I, of course, still live down here in the area. Unfortunately, I tell you what, this is too much. And I don't care how nice a park is, unless it has a water slide, for example. There ain't no way I'm taking my kids to this park when it's 115 degrees outside. 115 degrees, and Scott Smith, the mayor of Mesa, thinks that developing new parks is going to find some way to try to overcome that. Now, of course, it's not 115 degrees all year. In fact, many times of the year, it's rather lovely, and it's a good time to go out to the park. So he may have a point there. But for 3 or 4 or 5 months of the year, depending on who you are, you're going to cope with that kind of stifling heat. Parks just ain't the way to go. The other question that people need to ask, people like those contributing to iTalk, or excuse me, no, you keep contributing to iTalk. I'm at iMesa. See how similar these things are? No. The people contributing to iMesa and the mayor and the city council and whoever else is involved in this is, why are these parts, especially the western parts of Mesa, so deteriorated? Why is it that when I asked a Mesa cop a few years ago, after having spent some time for the first while, driving through Mesa, saying, my gosh, that place seems like it's a real big city with real big city problems, I said to this cop, hey, when was the last time you had to get called out for a murder? Last night, he said. They are dealing with these sorts of problems there in Mesa. They need to get to the heart of the question, why is that sort of atmosphere being substituted for the one that was before? Where it just kind of felt like it was a little bit more working class, a little bit more rough around the edges compared to the way that the population was growing out on the eastern part of the city. Why is there being a substitution for that? Because I would contend, and you go back to the Fiesta Mall issue, that the big heart of the issue, where the city seems to be deteriorating, it's because there's a depressed economy. or an economy that isn't necessarily as vibrant as the one that was once contributing to all those storefronts around Fiesta Mall. So the question then becomes exactly what are $70 million worth of parks going to do to try to make this place nice again? It may make it more aesthetically pleasing, but what is it going to do to try to get to the heart of the issue? Why is West Mesa in particular looking like Beirut? Is it because they don't have enough parks? Or is it because the people that are living around there don't have enough good stuff to do, i.e. they don't have jobs? Okay? That should be the question. Now, nobody's ever going to get into office thinking, hey, you know what I'm going to do is put all you bums back to work, because people don't want to hear that about themselves. And it's not the politicians' fault. We spend a lot of time talking bad about politicians. We need to spend more time thinking critically about ourselves, because the politicians waste a lot of breath saying exactly what you want to hear. And what the people of Mesa apparently want to hear is everything's A-okay except for this problem with our parks. We need more parks. We need better parks. We need $70 million worth of park improvements. Some people are saying. Now, granted, this is an issue that they're hoping to put on the November ballot. And the reason why they're going through this iMesa thing is because they're hoping that enough people become invested in the process that they will then vote through and provide $70 million to Mesa to make the parks better. And it's not just parks. They got some interesting concepts. For example, they have developed some sort of incubator, I think they're calling it, downtown in Mesa, where these things can be discussed. And there is also a community garden, if you can believe that, where people are going to produce food, incidentally, which we do in gardens, but also trying to create a sense of neighborliness. Not my term, neighborliness. The question then is, do you, if you lived in Mesa, or if you live anywhere, because this is going to be a pretty typical thing as the economy continues to suffer and as municipalities continue to look more and more like war zones, do you want to be taxed to the tune of $70 million to try to create neighborliness? I'll give you a moment. Do you want to be taxed more to try to create neighborliness? Or you know what I have found? The thing that typically produces a happy populace is a sense of well-being. And the thing that provides for that sense of well-being, this is going to blow your minds. You might want to pull over if you're driving home. Because, see, the thing that produces that sense of well-being is a job or actual well-being. So what is Mesa doing to try to create more opportunity for the people that are living there, that don't have the money to go to Fiesta Mall and give some of it to store owners and so forth? What are they doing that is going to try to provide businesses with the incentive to go over there to Mesa and set up shop? Well, I'll tell you what they're not doing. They still have something on the books called the privilege tax. The privilege tax in the city of Mesa imposes a 1 3/4% sales tax on the gross receipts from the types of business activities described herein. Privilege tax is often passed on to the business's customers as sales tax. However, this is a tax on the privilege of doing business and is not a true sales tax. Incidentally, the cost of buying something, the cost that is then transitioned over to the government in Mesa is lower than it is in a lot of places. It's just over 9% in Mesa. So I may be a little bit unfair, but here, instead of hitting the citizens of Mesa for another $70 million to try to make the parks better, maybe they could get rid of retail sales taxes, restaurants and bars taxes, right? If you want to try to create some sort of neighborliness, maybe you give them a place where they can go hang out a little bit more easily. Renting, leasing, or licensing for use of real property taxes. The renting, leasing, or licensing for the use of tangible personal property taxes. Manufactured buildings taxes. Construction contracting taxes. Contracting, I should say. Advertising taxes. Job printing taxes. Publishing and periodical distribution taxes. Telecommunications service taxes. Utility services, taxes, mining. I didn't know they still did that. Apparently, if you ever have any notion to go into Mesa and start digging for valuables, heads up, 1 3/4%. transporting for hire taxes, timbering and extraction taxes, and possibly my personal favorite, jet fuel sales taxes. Mining, timbering, I almost said lumbering, and jet fuel sales. They sure did think of everything. See, what if I actually had a jet fuel sales business? And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this over to West Mesa because I've driven through there and it looks like Beirut. All right? I'm going to give people jobs by having them sell my jet fuel. And then I find out that they're going to tax me for it. But you know who's not going to tax me for it? Say Gilbert. I don't know if Gilbert doesn't have a jet fuel sales tax, but let's just assume for a moment that Gilbert does not have a jet fuel sales tax. Where would I go reasonably to go try to make this business happen? The place that is or is not going to tax me for it. If Mesa was serious about wanting to try to fix this problem, this aesthetic problem, this problem from having the western part of itself look like this inner city war zone, and I don't think I'm being unfair, why would it not make more sense to try to invite business through a truly uninhibited business or through governmental practices rather than taxing the citizens $70 million so you can make nicer parks for all the people who don't have enough to do all day, every day to go hang out? Because that's always worked well. And those always remain pristine. Now, bring in the business. Get rid of some of these taxes. Get rid of all these taxes. And then just watch how many people want to come and beautify your city, your neighborhood, whatever. This has gone on so long, I haven't even had the chance to talk about homeowners associations. Why is the city of Mesa spending any money on taxes when just about every new neighborhood that's built has parks provided in it, and everybody who's living in those neighborhoods are taxed, I'm going to say it, to the tune of $30 to $50 a week, or excuse me, a month, not a week. Heaven help us if it was a week. But the people are choosing to live there. It's a little bit different. And yeah, sure, the people of Mesa are having the opportunity to choose whether or not they want these parks. My question for Mayor Smith is, why don't you peel away some of these taxes? Why don't you reduce the size of your institution, meaning the city government, and then watch all the jobs come in, and then just watch how much more aesthetically pleasing your city can become. And this isn't just Mesa. This is everybody. Everybody who's feeling hurt. Don't do the tax thing. Do the invite business thing. D.S. Palmer on the DP Show on iTalk 106.7. More to come after this.